Janie Starks has returned to Eatonville after a couple of years on the road. She looks beat down and downtrodden in overalls. The townfolk are all wondering what happened to her, as when she left, she was in the company of a young man named Tea Cake. Her only real friend in this town, Phoebe, goes to check up on her and inquire about what could have transpired. You see, Janie never knew her parents. She was raised by her grandmother. Her grandmother, Nanny, was born into slavery. She had Janie's mother when she was in her master's house. If you're familiar with history, most mixed race children back then were not the result of two people falling in love and deciding to start a family. Black women were at the mercy of their masters and could do what they wanted with them. That is how Janie's mother was conceived. Nanny knew that the master's wife would still put the blame on her for having a kid with her husband, so she decided to run away. Janie's mother, Leafy, was enrolled in school, but as fate would have it, one of the teachers impregnated her. And just like her mother, it was not of her own decision, but from a man having his way with her. After Janie was born, Leafy began to go out and drinking every night, and eventually ran away. So now Nanny was left to raise Janie. She loved her and wanted to see how she would avoid the same fate as her mother and grandmother. When Janie was about 16 years old, Nanny caught her kissing a local boy. She was furious and knew she had to marry her off right away. She decided that Janie was to be married to a black farmer called Logan Killicks. Logan was relatively well off and had about 60 acres. However, he was a pretty old man, and Janie had no feelings towards him. Her grandmother told her love would come with time. After a while, her grandmother passed away. Janie's time with Logan was very unfulfilling to her. She spent a lot of time in the field, and he would complain about how she is spoiled and doesn't work hard enough. One day, as she was in the field, she spotted a well-dressed man who approached her. This man's name was Joe Starks. He was from Georgia and had come with a lot of money to help build a town owned by black people. He kept coming by the farm and they grew fond of each other. He proposed to marry Janie and take her to another place. So Janie left Logan and went with Joe. They settled in a town called Eatonville, which was nothing more than a couple of shacks on a 50-acre property. Joe bought more land to expand the town and started gathering folks to join this new town. He was a man of means, and the town folk respected him. He was chosen to be the mayor of the town. He also built a shop, which he and Janie would run. Janie was living well. They had the biggest house in town, most expensive clothes, and the respect of the community. What she didn't have, though, was a voice. On one occasion, as they were having a ceremony to launch the new lights that Joe had installed in the town, one person suggested the mayor's wife to make a speech. Joe quickly interjected and said that he did not marry Jane to make speeches, and she knows nothing about making speeches. This rubbed Janie the wrong way. While it's true she did not know how to make speeches, there was a sense of agency taken away from her. Janie spent most of her time at the store. There will be a lot of people around the store most times, chatting it up or playing board games. She would sometimes join the conversations, but Joe would tell her to get back into the store. He didn't want her mingling too much with the townfolk, as he felt that they were below her status. He also made her cover her hair, as other men would look at her and want her. So it was a pretty controlling relationship. As time went on, her relationship with Joe began to deteriorate. They never really spent any time together as a couple, and most times, he would be busy with work as the mayor and always planning things. They began having conflicts and even public altercations. What was once a loving marriage became a sort of prison for her. After about 20 years of marriage, Joe's health was not looking good. His relationship with Janie was also not good. It had even reached a point where he would not even eat her food, as there were rumors that she was poisoning him. She got a doctor to come and see what the problem was. it turned out that his kidneys had failed, and he didn't have much longer to live. Before his death, Janie and him had an argument. He blamed her for not being content, while she blamed him for always controlling her. Joe died soon after. Janie was now alone, with a big house and a store to run. She let down her hair again and was enjoying her newfound freedom. Some townfolk felt like she was not mourning enough, but at this point, she didn't care what people had to say, as many months had passed since Joe died, and she just felt like she couldn't continue mourning and she wasn't sad. She had a lot of men offering themselves as potential suitors, but she wasn't moved by any. One day, as she was in a store alone, a man stopped by to buy some tobacco. She had never seen him before, and he was pretty chatty. He made jokes and flirted with her, and asked her to play checkers with her. This was the first time a man had asked her to play. She was always a spectator. This man's name was Virgil Woods, or better known as Tea Cake. Within the next couple of days and weeks, they began hanging out more and more. She liked his sense of adventure and spontaneity. He was a representation of freedom. One thing kept bothering her, though. He was younger than her and had little to no possessions. There were stories of younger men taking advantage of older women, taking their money and leaving them out to dry. She was warned by a few people. She was, however, in love with Tea Cake. They decided to leave town and start a new life together. She had stitched $200 in her dress just in case things went sour and had to return home. One day, Tea Cake left early in the morning, saying he had gone to look for fish. When Janie woke up, she found her $200 missing, and Tea Cake had not come back. She was panicking. Everything she had been warned about was happening. She was in a state of shock. However, later that night, Tea Cake returned with only $12. He said that he saw the $200 and got excited. He went and bought various things and partied. He told her he didn't take her as he did not want her to see his commonness. He promised to reimburse the money, which he did after going out and gambling and winning. Even though Tea Cake was a reckless guy, Janie was really in love with him. She enjoyed this life of freedom and not knowing what tomorrow holds. They decided to move to the Everglades, where Tea Cake would work picking beans during the day and playing guitar and gambling at night. With time, Janie also joined Tea Cake during the day, as she was comfortable working. They lived like this for about 2 years. One day, she saw a group of Native Americans moving towards Palm Beach, which was higher ground. They told them that a hurricane was coming. They decided to stay behind and wait out the storm. The storm came, and it was bad. They had to now look for a way out of it. They walked and swam, as also the lake had burst its banks, and water kept on rising. On the way, they encountered bodies of people and saw others hanging on trees, just trying to save themselves however way they could. Janie tried to grab a piece of roofing so they could get cover. She, however, fell in the water. She saw a cow floating and a dog on top of it. She quickly grabbed the cow's tail. The dog, however, started attacking her. When Tea Cake saw this, he rushed to help her. In the tussle with the dog, Tea Cake was bitten on the cheek, but he managed to kill the dog. They were able to reach the next town, where there was death and destruction. Men were being gathered to help bury the dead. Bodies of white people were being buried in caskets, while the bodies of black people were thrown in mass graves and covered with quicklime. They decided to go back to the Everglades, where they discovered a few of their friends had died, but a majority survived. It was now time to rebuild. After about 4 weeks, Tea Cake became really sick. He couldn't eat or drink. Janie called a doctor, a white man who was known and had lived in their community for years. He told her that this was the result of the dog bite, as the dog was rabid, and that Tea Cake didn't have much longer to live. Basically, he was like he would try the best he could to try to see if he could save him, but it wasn't looking good for him. In the next coming days, Tea Cake became more paranoid. Janie discovered that he had a pistol under his pillow. She knew this would not turn out well. She set the pistol to cycle through 3 empty chambers before a bullet could be fired, and she made sure to have a rifle ready. And sure as day, Tea Cake grabbed the pistol and tried to shoot her. Once, twice, thrice. Janie knew what she had to do. Tea Cake was dead. A trial was held that day to determine if she killed Tea Cake out of malice. The doctor testified on her behalf, and she gave a powerful testimony of her story with Tea Cake. She was found innocent. She gave Tea Cake a huge burial. Since Tea Cake was no more, she could not continue living in the Everglades. This is how Janie found herself back in Eatonville, as she narrates this story to Phoebe.